Overthinking is extremely fucking annoying. I mean, so annoying. I'm jealous of the people who are not overthinkers because if I were able to not overthink literally everything that happens in my day to day life, I think I would be at more peace. But sadly, I am the way that I am. And yeah, I think people can overcome their overthinking, but it can be really, really hard. And I want to just talk about the ways I overthink today. First thing is tone and body language. I analyze tone and body language like a motherfucker. Even the smallest change in tone can like have sirens going off in my head. Like let's say I'm talking to somebody and they have like a moderate tone. If their tone sounds anything like upset or condescending or something, like something it sounds like something negative to me. In my head, I'm gonna be like, what changed? What did I do wrong? Did something happen and I didn't notice it? And then I start thinking like, what could have possibly made their tone do that? And maybe it's not really like about them. Maybe it's more so overthinking what I may have done wrong to cause this change to happen, even if it has nothing to do with me. Body language as well. I think I feel like body language can't really think of many examples. I think about my own body language though, because like I can be very awkward in person. It can be very awkward and whatnot. And I sometimes feel like other people are looking at my body language. So I overthink how they're comprehending and interpreting my body language. And then I have to think about how to combat that so they're not thinking a certain thing. That sounds kind of stupid and complicated, but it's literally how I think. If my body language makes it seem like I'm not interested in what they're saying to me, it's probably not that. It's probably in a lot of cases it's because like I'm in the moment of doing something. Like especially when I'm at work and someone's like talking to me, but it's like, I want to keep doing my job. Not that I don't want to hear what they have to say, but also like when your boss can be on your ass, it's like they'll get mad at you for talking and shit. And I just seem like I don't care what they're saying. I actually do. It's just like I'm very worried about where my boss is at any time because he could pop up anywhere. That's an example with body language, but even other people's body language, kind of like with the tone. If something is off or something changes, I'm going to start like losing it in my little brain. Another thing is text messages. And this kind of does have to go with tone as well because I don't know if it's like I feel like I've always been like this, but also as somebody who like majored in linguistics, I feel like I really do pick apart text messages because there are like deeper meanings to what people type. People have their their own writing styles, the terminology that they use, and then also like for me, it's punctuation. Mean that something has happened and we're having a serious conversation. And I'll do the same thing honestly. Like if I'm having like a serious conversation, that's when I start using punctuation unless like maybe I'm trying to confront somebody and I'm not trying to seem like I'm accusing them of something. Like I just want to bring something up. I'm not going to use periods because for me, that means that I'm like pissed off and that I'm mad and this is very serious when I just want to keep it like a leveled, chill conversation while we're also bringing up concerns. Another thing when it comes to text messages is like the way people will type okay. This is very specific. The way I type okay, I'm a very bubbly texter also. The compare and contrast between how I text and how someone who's like a dry texter would text, but I type in a very interesting way. I spell okay, OKIE, like okay, or OKI, like I spell okay like that, right? But if someone says O and K to me, that makes my fucking heart drop. Or okay with a period or just the letter K. I'm like, huh? What happened? Like once again, sirens are going off in my little brain. Can get used to people who are quote unquote dry texters. It depends on the person. And also, I can't get used to people who use punctuation. Like if I meet someone and we start texting and they use punctuation, I'm probably gonna feel a little like I'm gonna be overthinking a bit. But it's like as I keep texting, it's like, oh, they just tend to use more punctuation. They don't really go out of the norm of like, oh, we don't need to use like, like formal speech or using what we'd usually use in like formal writing and all that stuff. Another thing is socializing and scenarios. I've probably said this so many times. I am so weird when it comes to socializing. I like socializing to a point, but I think socializing also gives me anxiety. especially because I overthink the social interaction. I have to plan the social interaction before it happens in my head, or like if I'm gonna hang out with somebody, it's like I overthink, okay, if we go to a new place, like yada yada yada, like I need to go to a place that I've been before and that I know everything about so things can go smoothly. So nothing goes wrong. And it's the same thing with like the body language, the tone and stuff. And even just for myself, I feel like I said, I'm very awkward in person. Even sometimes when I speak, I can get very nervous. And I feel like there's a lot of reasons from like the socializing to the overthinking that I am like this. There's a lot of reasons for it. And I usually say it's because in many ways growing up, I was isolated. I didn't really hang out that much with people in high school, tended to be in the same environments and like educational spaces. So I was always around the same people. So I feel like that's created this like me not knowing how to function, going out, going to parties, or accepting invites. If anything, and I hate to be like this, but sometimes I feel like even if they're like valid and it's actually the actual reason that I can't go to a hangout or something, I feel like I'll make excuses because I'm scared of how I will be portrayed because I feel like I'm not perfect in the social interaction. The scenarios are probably the worst thing because that's a huge part of the overthinking what could happen versus when you're actually in the moment and actually out there. Another one is daydreaming and intuition. I have been a daydreamer all my life. All my life. Daydreaming is where I go when I don't even mean to. Daydreaming is when I go when I'm really bored. Daydreaming is where I go when I just want to think about things, whether they can happen in real life or they can't. I have a very wild and vivid imagination. God forbid I want to go there and relax for a bit. Sometimes it's better than reality. But I feel like daydreaming can also create like what's the word? I'm fucking blanking. Expectations? Unrealistic expectations. But then there's also, when it comes to daydreaming, creating scenarios, there's my intuition. Sometimes my overthinking ties to my intuition in a way that I cannot explain. My intuition is a crazy thing. My gut feeling is a crazy thing because for some reason I tend to be right about stuff that I usually tell myself that I'm thinking about it way too much. Scenarios and things that I daydream about that could potentially happen, that have the possibility of happening for X, Y, and Z reason can happen. Of course, not everything's gonna come true, but it's just really weird how I think of something bad that could happen. And I tell myself, like, you're worrying too much, but then it happens. I'm just like, am I psychic? Sometimes I wonder if I'm actually psychic. Not gonna lie. To close off this video, I wanna talk about when overthinking, like, among probably other reasons, can be a bad thing. And that's when you act on it. Now, I've talked about how overthinking has affected me, especially socially. But I feel like ways overthinking, especially if it causes you to be very frantic, spiral, get really paranoid and anxious. If you're having all those emotions and then you act on that overthinking, I feel like it can be detrimental to yourself and to your relationships and others. And I say that as someone who used to act on their overthinking, like especially within my friendships and stuff like that. And the way I would come across is very accusatory and maybe even sometimes aggressive because I have all those like negative emotions linked to my overthinking. Sometimes the overthinking can come from an actual concern. I feel like you need to tone down and like rationalize your thinking before you address it, before you confront it. Because if you do it when you're like all fucked up, you're going to probably do something you don't mean, say something you don't mean. You might fuck up a friendship or a relationship. It's better to process it. It's better to process it. Think about, okay, what tone do I want to give off? How do I want to approach this? How could this make myself or how could this affect me if I do this in a very reckless way, if that makes sense. And I think I've gotten better when it comes to handling my overthinking when it comes to confrontation with other people and stuff like that. Another way I'm also trying to overcome my overthinking is to just do things and not think about them too much. Now, of course, I'm not going to just be impulsive and just do everything that comes. Like, no, of course not. Sometimes overthinking protects us, but trying to be a more assertive. I feel like if I conquer the overthinking to an extent and I can be more assertive in little ways, I can be assertive in bigger ways when I need it to happen. And I can address the concerns that I need. And I can also better yet take care of myself as an adult. So yeah, that was my ramble about overthinking. If you relate to anything that I said, let me know. If you didn't relate to anything I said, let me know. Does anyone else feel like their overthinking is a problem that they're trying to conquer? And how does it affect you in your daily life? Let me know in the comments what you think. I like reading the comments when they're there. And that's it for this video. And until the next one, whatever I talk about.